Rescuers have not found any survivors among the scattered wreckage of a China Eastern plane carrying 132 people that crashed on Monday in a forested mountainous area in southern China. Key points. Footage shows flight MU-5735 diving vertically into the side of a hill. Footage shows flight MU-5735 diving vertically into the side of a hill. Rescuers have not found any survivors among the wreckage. Rescuers have not found any survivors among the wreckage. There were 132 people on board when the aircraft lost contact an hour after taking off. Wreckage of the plane was found at the scene, but up until now, none of those aboard the plane with whom contact was lost have been found, state broadcaster CCTV said on Tuesday morning, more than 18 hours after the crash. Footage appeared to show the plane's last moments, as it nosedived into a mountainous area in South China in the country's worst air disaster in nearly a decade. The plane fell vertically from the sky, state-run Beijing Youth Daily quoted a local resident as saying. The crash ignited a fire big enough to be seen on NASA satellite images and created a deep crater in the hillside. China Eastern Airlines flight MU-5735, a Boeing 737-800, was en route from the southwestern city of Kunming, the capital of Yunnan province, to Guangzhou, the capital of Guangdong, bordering Hong Kong, when it crashed. The airline said it deeply mourned the passengers and crew, without specifying how many people were. Our thoughts are with the passengers and crew of China Eastern Airlines flight MU-5735, Boeing said in a short statement. We are working with our airline customers and are ready to support them. Rescue teams have arrived at the site of the crash. While rescuers work to determine the number of people who, investigators will be scouring the wreckage and flight recorders for factors that could have caused the plane to plummet vertically and slam into the mountains at high speed. Crystal Zhong, an associate professor in aerospace engineering in RMIT, told the ABC the key to understanding the cause of the crash was recovering the plane's black box. The black box carries all the information, the flight data about the aircraft, the flight information, the communication between the air crew and ground air traffic controllers, she says. Dr. Zhong said until the black box was found, it was very, very challenging to come to any kind of a conclusion. M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Watch 3 minutes 10 seconds 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Aviation experts say the way the plane crashed was an unusual circumstance. But having said that, there's some preliminary justifications in terms of understanding what exactly could and would possibly contribute to the causes of this air crash, she said. Generally speaking, we categorize air crashes into two broad categories. One is caused by human factors. That is referring to errors made by humans, which could be the air traffic controllers in terms of giving the wrong direction, or could be the pilots who press the wrong button or not functioning properly in front of the control board, or the mechanics who fail to do the proper checks. The other major contributing factor could be mechanical issues. That could be the failure of the engines, the failure of the mechanical issues, or the technical issues. It is very hard to say what exactly are the factors contributing to this air crash. The aircraft lost contact over the city of Wuzhou, China's Civil Aviation Administration of China, and the airline said. The flight left Kunming at 1:11 p.m. local time, Flight Radar 24 data showed, and was due to land in Guangzhou at 3:05 p.m. local time. The plane, which Flight Radar 24 said was 6 years old, had been cruising at 29,100 feet at 2:20 p.m. local time. It then began a rapid descent to 7,425 feet, before recovering to 8,600 feet, and then descended rapidly again. The last tracked altitude was 3,225 feet above sea level. The plane was flying from the city of Kunming to Guangzhou. China's President Xi Jinping called for investigators to determine the cause of the crash as soon as possible, state broadcaster CCTV reported. Boeing Chief Executive Dave Calhoun said the aerospace company had offered the full support of its technical experts in the investigation of the crash. In an email sent to employees, Mr. Calhoun, said he was limited by what Boeing could say about the investigation being led by the Civil Aviation Administration of China. "Trust that we will be doing everything we can to support our customer and the accident investigation during this difficult time, guided by our commitment to safety, transparency, and integrity at every step," Mr. Calhoun wrote. Crashes during the cruise phase of flights are relatively rare, even though this period accounts for the majority of flight time. Boeing said last year only 13% of fatal commercial accidents globally between 2011 and 2020 occurred during the cruise phase, whereas 28% occurred on final approach and 26% on landing. "Usually the plane is on autopilot during cruise stage, so it is very hard to fathom what happened," Li Xiaojin, a Chinese aviation expert, said. Relatives of those on board wait for news at Guangzhou Baiyun International Airport. Plane predecessor to 737 MAX. Online weather data showed partly cloudy conditions with good visibility in Wuzhou at the time of the crash. China's airline safety record has been among the best in the world for a decade, although it is less transparent than in countries like Australia and the US, where regulators release detailed reports on non-fatal incidents, according to Greg Waldron, Asia managing editor at industry publication Flight Global. The 737-800 has a good safety record and is the predecessor to the 737 MAX model that has been grounded in China for more than 3 years following fatal crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia. There were a few years, particularly in 1994, 2003 and 2004, where there were some air crashes in China's aviation industry, causing a lot of casualties, Dr. Zhong said. But after that, the government, the industry, the community, have made significant efforts in terms of enhancing the safety record of the overall aviation sector. Relatives, friends and colleagues of passengers gathered late on Monday in a cordoned-off area at the jet's destination, Guangzhou Baiyun International Airport. Loved ones of those on board gather at Guangzhou Baiyun Airport, where the plane was meant to land. One man surnamed Yang said a colleague had been on the plane, and he had notified the 29-year-old's mother. When she picked up the phone, she choked up, said Yang, adding that he had a heavy heart when he heard the news. China Eastern staff were making arrangements for relatives who wished to travel to the crash site on Tuesday, Yang said. Was not able to independently verify Yang's identity. The Australian Department of Foreign Affairs is investigating whether any Australians were on board the flight. Australian representatives in China are making urgent inquiries with the airline and local authorities to ascertain whether any Australians were on board, it said in a statement. ABC Wires